Okay, so students, we saw how this creates a cultural difference, or and the language shows a cultural difference of various places and regions, and within the language also, with the use of different language, the cultural difference comes in. The difference in attitudes, difference in the way people live their life, the difference of their cultures, values, the power distance between people in a particular society, values, self expression, and use of innovative language. So, this is the role played by language for self expression and to show the culture of a society. Coming to the last role that language plays, these pictures show us something. We see that how people socialize is also through the help of language. So, the social role of language is very important to understand. If we did not have language as human beings, we would not have been able to socialize and know people who live in our vicinity and also beyond. Today, we are able to communicate long distance through internet, through a variety of other social platform, and earlier it was through letters and telephone and other things. And this is because we were able to understand the value of language. We were able to discover and bring in this idea of language, use of common language, use of alphabets, putting together into words and sentences. So, what social role does language play in our life? Establishing and maintaining relationship. The more refined, the more beautiful our language is, the more strong we find our relationships to be, whether it is with friends, whether it is with relatives, whether it is with siblings, parents, teachers, or any kind of relationship that we look at. Language helps us to maintain and establish relationship. Over here, please remember, language is not only verbal language that we are speaking of, but language also which is non-verbal and the body language. It helps us to communicate information in the society. Media is a very common example that we can take. So, media over here includes print and electronic media, and we find that because there is a language and there are common languages used in variety of societies, we find that information is passed on and made a common knowledge for a masses and public, and that is how the information is communicated, and that is how most of our working takes place. Then, to bring in the social change, you can think of various examples of social change that we have seen in the last decade. Anybody can think of any example? For example, the social change in fashion, which is a very common kind of example that we can look at. If we look at the formal dress code in maybe 5 or 10 years back, we would find that in Indian culture, the formal dress code would generally be a sari or a salwar kameez. Today, we find that we have also incorporated the Western dress as a part of our culture, and that it is a big social change that we find because it is not a part of our cultural dress in India. So, we have incorporated that change, we have accepted that change, and we are moving towards becoming more global. So, that is one of the social change. Any other social change that you can think of, make a note of it. There are many such social change we can discuss upon, and how language is important over here, because the language helps us to understand what kind of change is needed in today's day. Moving from a print media, moving from newspapers to getting electronic news, that's a big social change. Making children now make use of electronic devices, it's a big social change. So these are the social change that we talk of, and language has played an immense role over there to bring such kind of social change. A social change also brings in a change in social structure. In the earlier slides also we have learned that when we spoke of individualism and collectivism, what is the social change that we see in this in our society? We have moved from, for example, joint family to nuclear family. This is a big social change in the social structure. Indian society has always been and always welcomed the joint family culture, but we find that we have been trying to understand the culture of West, and we have adopted some things which suited our purpose in today's situation. And this has brought in a big change in the social structure. How did it happen? Did you ever think of it? If you think, it is because of the information that had been communicated, the pros and cons, the benefits, the advantages and disadvantages, and if it suited our purpose, we took up that social change and we tried to bring change in our own society. Linguistic change, the use of language. Take up Oxford Dictionary and look at the linguistic change that has come in. This is a direct relation to change of language and the social change. For example, the use of word as jungle. A jungle is actually a Hindi word, but now it has been included in the English Oxford Dictionary. Why? Because that is a change, linguistic change that we have found. It is a common word which had been used in novels, and when people started reading, they preferred to use the original term instead of using forest or any other term which were synonyms but not same as jungle. Similarly, if we take example of some food items, like a food item in English burger and a food item in Hindi vada pav, you cannot have a synonym to it. Nothing can be equalizing these words. So it has been included now in our encyclopedia and dictionary, and that is a big linguistic change. Use of slang. Some slang, like we have mentioned again and again about the word awesome, has become a part of our dictionary now. So this kind of change in language would be linguistic change. When this linguistic change comes in, automatically social change comes in. Now with the use of social media, especially with the use of WhatsApp and short message services, we find that there are so many acronyms that have come in that we try to use when we are conversing with people. For example, OMG. Now, this is an acronym of Oh My God, which is a big linguistic change, and we find from child to an adult, we find people making use of this. There are many such acronyms which you will come across, and you must be also using, like LOL or any such kind of thing, where ASAP. In corporates, we find that this term is used extensively, so as soon as possible. Now, this is a linguistic change and it is standardized now. So, it has brought in the social change in our society. Removal of taboo. Now, what is a taboo when it comes to languages? I mentioned earlier also the use of tum and aap in Indian language and the use of you in English language. Now, it has always been a taboo in Indian society to disrespect somebody who is elder in age to us. But now, when you speak to elderly people and you are using English, this taboo of respect, maintaining respect, is not put into account much, because we are having only one word to use there. So, how do we find the difference? Similarly, there are many such words which have been used in various cultures which were considered to be a taboo, but now it has become an open discussion. And sometimes there are words which were used earlier has now become extinct. So, language has helped us to make use of words which would give meaning to our thoughts and expressions, maybe in a more explicit manner or in a more free way. Also, removal of social taboo. For example, it was a taboo to remarry in Hindu religion, and before independence, sati was the culture. Now, when media came into existence and we had reformists like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and other people in the freedom struggle, those who participated, and after independence also they played an important role, we find that they were able to communicate through language the importance of removing these taboo and making India a more open nation, a more a nation which would accept things which were actually once upon a time a taboo. So language helped us to remove such kind of taboo. Gender discrimination, it was a taboo for a girl child to be going to school beyond probably first or second standard. Today we find that doesn't remain the case at all. How did it happen? This happened only because it was extensively advertised and promoted through language that these things have to change if the nation has to progress. So that is how we find that language has played an important role in our society. The social role has been such that it brought about lot of social changes for good, as well as some social change which has not really brought in any good. But then social change is inevitable. As the society change, as the society progress, we find changes coming in, some good and some bad, and language plays a very important role in making it as a common knowledge. So this is how language plays an important role in the society. With this, we finish the role of language. Thank you so much. And I would be giving you the question bank which relates to this unit, and we can discuss about it once you prepare some kind of notes for yourself in the next class. Thank you.